It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's brand new stuff from Diamond Head. The name of that tune is called See You Rise. And rising once again from the ashes of the new wave of British heavy metal, it is Diamond Head, of course, with Brian Tatler, guitarist of Diamond Head, is joining us on the show tonight. So, Brian, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Chris? I'm having a good time.
That's great, man. Well, Brian, I got to tell you, loving the record, man. Love it, and for a lot of different reasons. Primarily, I like it because it really is a lot more gritty than some of your previous stuff, but I also really like your new singer a lot, man. He adds a ton to the band.
I do agree. A lot of people have picked up on the songs, but also how important it's been to have a new, fresh sort of vocal in place. He is a fantastic singer. He's got this great range and a lot of power. He can do so much with his voice. I've been very impressed. Obviously, this is his first Diamond Head album, but also it's his first album at all. Period. So it's been quite an experience for Rasmus.
Sure. Well, talk a little bit about Rasmus, Brian. How did you find him, especially if he has never, really been a recording artist before? How do you find him, and more importantly, how do you gauge him as a true somebody to work with a band of your caliber versus somebody just looking to gain attention from being associated with Diamond Head?
Yeah, good point. Well, I found him, first of all, through our bass player, Eddie. Eddie plays in a covers band, and their singer had done some work with Raz. Raz lives in London, and somehow these two had got together through a singing college or uni or something. And so when the word went out, Diamond Head looking for a new singer, this guy Rasmus was put forward. We sent him a backing track to Heaven from Hell, one of our old songs, and Rasmus sang on top of it and sent the file back, and myself and Carl, the drummer, were amazed, and I thought, wow, he makes this sound easy. There was no effort almost to him, hitting high notes and holding notes. So I was very impressed and got him to come up to the Midlands for a rehearsal. And it kind of went from there. Once we saw about maybe half a dozen guys, and I thought Rasmus was the best, so I wanted to bring Rasmus into the band, and we started out with gigs. We did about 14 gigs, 2014, and about sort of halfway through, we all realised that this guy's great, and we offered him the job, and he was only too happy to accept.
Excellent. Now, I do want to go back a little bit. I don't want to stick only to the singer, but as somebody that follows along with what you guys are doing, I was a little confused when I saw that Rasmus was the singer, because I had heard about Nick leaving the band. And then I thought I had heard that Chaz West was in the band, and then he's not in the band. So can you clarify what happened to Nick and what happened with Chaz?
Yeah, what happened with Nick? Nick emigrated to Brisbane in 2008, and since then it's been very difficult for us to write or record. So all that has seemed to happen is every time we got a gig or a tour, we would have to pay to fly Nick over, and he would do the dates, and then he would fly back again because he's got a wife and kids and a full-time job. So we didn't have a lot of time to work on new material, and I didn't have a lot of confidence in what I got, and I sort of felt like I didn't want to repeat what we did with the last album, where the drums were done like by our drummer in America, and then they were sent over on files, and then we played on top of it. So there wasn't a moment where we even got together in the same room and worked on these songs or played them together. I didn't want to do that again. So anyway, we had a meeting in 2014, and we sort of said, this is getting silly to keep paying to fly Nick backwards and forwards. And it was becoming very stressful on our drummer, Carl, who has to organise these things and book flights and work visas and you name it. So we said, let's have a look see if we can find another guy. If we can't, we can't. If we can, then maybe that's the way forward. And that's how we came up with Raz.
Okay, excellent. Now, Brian, I'm always curious about your band, and this is my first time getting to speak with you. So I'm curious of two things with Diamond Head itself, and you can answer or not. I'm either way is fine. But I've always been curious if two things, the obvious association that you guys always get with Metallica, as well as the association as, a cog in the new wave of British heavy metal, if that actually hurt the band as much as it might have helped get the name out, just because being associated with both, it kind of puts you in the back seat of both. Being with the new wave stuff, obviously it puts you behind the Def Leppards and the Iron Maidens that everybody looks at as the forefront, and obviously Metallica, biggest band in the world, and while it's great that they covered your stuff, people look to Metallica instead of maybe digging deeper into Diamond Head. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think, New Wave of British Heavy Metal was just a convenient tag to put on all these new bands that were emerging in the late 70s.
Sure.
Bands that had been influenced by the great bands like the Zeppelins and Sabbaths and Purples, and we were all trying to do our own thing and make our way. I never thought about escaping from that. I just thought that was a brilliant way to get us attention, to get us noticed and get national press. And next thing I know, we were supporting AC/DC and we're doing all kinds of things. We got a record deal after after a couple of years. But, in the same way that, when Metallica started, they were part of the thrash movement.
Sure.
And I don't think they particularly liked that, but that's the way it was. It's a convenient journalistic term. So they broke away from that. Iron Maiden broke away from it. Def Leppard broke away from it. I think really where Diamond Head struggled is we'd never had very good management, and our record label probably didn't know quite what to do with us. And we only got a chance to make a couple of albums before the band started falling apart. Sure. And then we got dropped by the record label in 1984. And after that, and the money dried up, everything kind of fell apart. It was a real shame. But that's life. Not many bands survived the 80s from that new wave of British heavy metal.
Sure. Absolutely, and as a fan, it's criminal to me. A lot of times I'll be playing stuff, at the house if I'm having a party or something. And a lot of times something from Borrowed Time will come on, and people are like, "Oh, what is that? That's great." I'll be like, "Oh, it's Diamond Head," and they're like, the answer, most common answer is, "Oh, aren't those the Metallica guy?" And it's like, no, that's not. It was a good band on its own, Well. Anyway,
that's right. We're so associated with Metallica now. It is. It's hard to not mention Metallica in a Diamond Head piece.
Sure.
But Metallica have been nothing but a big help. And I honestly say that I don't think Diamond Head would be going now without Metallica, because they've helped financially and they've given us so much credibility by citing us as a major influence.
Sure.
And name checking us hundreds and hundreds of times, that it's helped. We never sold many records, unfortunately.
Sure.
And so the fact that we can still go now after all these years and tour and make a record and people like and want to buy it is an amazing achievement.
Sure. Oh, definitely. Now, let me ask you, while we're talking about Metallica, and I swear I'll get off of it, because I do want to ask some questions about the real stuff, but I wanted to ask you about playing the Metallica 30th anniversary with the band. That had to be, kind of a surreal experience, huh?
It was great. It was very kind of them to invite myself and Sean to do that. They flew us out to San Francisco, and we got to hang out at the Metallica HQ, and we rehearsed with them, and then we played all 4 songs that they'd covered on the night at the LA Forum, which is somewhere I've never been before. It's this legendary, famous venue, and So to play on stage with Metallica at the Forum was a bit, special.
Very cool, man. Well, Brian, moving to today, you do have this new record. It's simply called Diamond Head, and the thing that I notice most about this is probably your work on it is a bit different. I don't want to say it's less refined, but it's a lot more, I don't know, jammy, I guess is maybe the right word. It has kind of a different feel than you've been doing, at least on the last couple of records. Do you agree?
Maybe. I think part of the reason is when we talked about writing together with myself and Raz was insistent that we make the record in the same room. We don't send files, we don't do demos, we don't, go over the internet. We'll just get together, all in a room with the instruments, and we'll play together. And as he said, that's when the magic happens. And by sticking at it and trying that out, that's what happened. I mean, you might start off with a riff, or I might have had half an idea, I might have had a verse and a chorus or something, but by trying stuff in the room with drums and bass, that's possibly where the feels come from, and the feel of being in a band in a room, and the sound those instruments make, rather than relying on production or demos or overdubs or effects. Mm-hmm. It's just a bit like how we started, really, and the song has to stand up right there and then, otherwise we would just say no, that one's not right. And we had this brief where it had to sound like Diamond Head, which sounds crazy, but I think there's something in that we needed to make a record that had a feel of Diamond Head, of old, of classic Diamond Head, what's good about Diamond Head.
Sure. Is it, as the lone guy that's been there literally since day one, does that put extra pressure on you to keep it sounding like Diamond Head and to keep it focused, where these guys that weren't there from the beginning, that they don't have that sense of vibe that you do from doing it all the way back in the 70s. So is it difficult for you to kind of have to lead the course, so to speak?
Well, I think because I've been in the band a long time, and when Raz joined, he studied the back catalogue. He listened to everything we'd done. I wanted him to learn, a set amount of songs, but he also wanted to absorb himself and get a feel for, the entire history. So I think he would come along with a fresh overview, and he would be able to say, this is what's good about Diamond Head, and this is what really works. And then I would play things that I think is very me. I have a style, I have riffs I like, there's chord changes I like, chord progressions. So he would then say, that is very Diamond Head, that thing there that you're playing. And I think we could all see that this is probably the way forward. So we would just work on the songs that had a bit of Diamond Head, to them. And I'm probably quality control ultimately, and I would try and keep the energy there, and keep I don't want to do too many slow songs. I want it to be exciting. I've always wanted to make albums that are exciting.
Sure. Well, you've definitely done that here. I mean, songs like the one that we opened with, See You Rise, just smashing songs, heavy.
Right.
Very good stuff.
I'm glad you like them. It's getting a lot of good press. I'm very pleased with the reaction.
Sure. Now, Brian, what is on tap for you guys for the rest of the year? Obviously, you're releasing the record. Are you going to get the chance to tour the world, or tour in Europe, or what does it look like?
I think we've got quite a few dates in Europe coming up. We've gone to a few places we've not been. Like we're doing Ibiza for a start, and Malta, and we've got some dates in Germany and Sweden, UK again, and then we're trying to work on some American dates and Canada. We've been over a few times. Mm-hmm. But hopefully this album, and the fact that we've now signed with this company Dissonance, it's getting a bit more behind it, more weight behind it, more press coverage. People seem to be more excited about this album than the last couple of albums. So we may be able to, step up the ladder a little bit and do do some bigger things.
Excellent. Very cool, man. Well, Brian, as we said, the new album is simply called Diamond Head, just same as the band, Diamond Head. And, Brian, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the album. So why don't you pick a song to wrap this interview up with and maybe give us a little story about it?
Okay, well, I'm going to pick All the Reasons You Live because that's one of my favourite songs on the album. I think the two favourite songs are Bones and All the Reasons You Live. I just think it's got a really great verse melody, and it's a simple chugging riff in the verse, but the verse melody takes you on a journey, and I think he's done a fantastic job of the vocals on the whole album, and this one in particular. So this has also got some orchestration on it that Rasmus did at home with his keyboards, and again, he did a fantastic job. So I'm a big fan of this song, and I hope everyone else likes it.
All right, well, let's find out now. This is All the Reasons You Live. It is Diamond Head right here on your Classic Metal Show.